Hey, I'm Brendan Lorenzo, and this is good vs. bad acting. What's the difference? I'll be comparing Joaquin Phoenix's incredible performance in The Gladiator with Eddie Redmayne's melodramatic performance in Jupiter Ascending. I've got two quick disclaimers before we get into it. The first one being that I actually met Eddie Redmayne a couple of years ago on the streets of London. I was just walking to the British Museum when I ran into him, and I could tell he was in a bit of a hurry, but he still graciously chatted to me for a bit before we took the photo. So I guess I just want to say that he's a lovely human being and an amazing Academy Award-winning actor. He isn't afraid to take a big swing with his performances, and he often hits it out of the ballpark. But when it comes to Jupiter Ascending, that big swing was a big miss.
How dare you!
Oh, and I almost forgot the second disclaimer. This video contains spoilers for both movies. The way I'd describe Eddie's performance is camp. And by camp, I don't mean with tents and marshmallows, I mean camp as in extravagantly flamboyant or affected in a way stereotypically associated with some gay men. And look at the example sentence, it actually describes Eddie in the movie perfectly. A heavily made up and highly camp actor. His flamboyant acting would be fine if it was intentional, but it's clear he was actually trying to go for intimidating and menacing. Jupiter Ascending is a painfully boring movie, and it's almost like Eddie realizes he needs to do something to liven it up. And as a result, he ends up overacting and milking nearly every moment. Like this line, where it looks like he was directed to use as many facial muscles as possible.
Life is an act of consumption.
He's playing an alien overlord from another galaxy who basically owns Earth, but he's going to be usurped by Earth's rightful owner, Jupiter, played by Mila Kunis. But despite the backstory, his character doesn't feel like a real person who's lived an entire lifetime. It feels more like he's putting on an act, which he very much is. His whole physicality is riddled with cliches. Like, look at how he strikes the stereotypical pose of a tyrannical ruler with his hand in the air. I guess he's always bossing people around and pointing, so he feels the need to keep his hand up at all times.
Bring her to me.
That pose for a ruler is as stereotypical as a damsel in distress putting the back of her hand on her forehead. Joaquin also plays the tyrannical ruler, Commodus. He's a psychopathic son of the Emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, circa 180 AD.
Commodus is not a moral man.
Like Eddie, he also uses entitled royal gestures, but he does it sparingly. See here where he raises his hand to call for his horse. But he doesn't need to keep his arm raised the whole time. That one fleeting gesture communicates everything that we need to know, that he has slaves at his constant beck and call, and that in his mind, those slaves only exist to serve him and possess no other value aside from that. He again strikes a pose that conveys power when he's slumped on his throne. Unlike Eddie, Joaquin is showing us his character's inner life, instead of trying to signal some external effect. Have a look at how he reacts when he receives the worst news of his life.
You will not be emperor.
You can see where the saying, a hard pill to swallow, comes from, when Joaquin literally needs to swallow the information before he can bring himself to respond.
Which wiser older man is to take my place?
He's not trying to show us anything, he's genuinely trying to affect his father with his words and hopefully change his mind. Whilst he grapples with the pain of having his greatest dream dashed, his dream of becoming the Emperor of Rome.
But I have other virtues, father. Ambition. That can be a virtue when it drives us to excel.
Joaquin refuses to judge his character. It doesn't take us long to realize that we're dealing with a proper psychopath here who is more than willing to execute hordes of innocent people to achieve his aims, but Joaquin can't afford to give his character those same moral judgments. And then we as an audience naturally empathize with him, and suddenly we find ourselves feeling sorry for this maniac, thanks to the humanity that Joaquin brings to the character. Whereas when bad things happen to Eddie, like when he dies at the end of the movie, you're likely to not feel sad at all, probably just indifferent. At worst, you're sad because you can't keep laughing at his ridiculous performance anymore. After smothering his father to death, Commodus offers his hand to Russell Crowe's character, Maximus, who rejects this gesture.
Your emperor asked for your loyalty, Maximus. Take my hand.
Look at how deeply offended he is. First his father rejects him, now Rome's greatest general also rejects him. And look at what Joaquin is able to communicate without even opening his mouth. The seething hatred and crippling envy that he feels at the sight of Maximus, the man who gained the approval and adoration that he could never achieve. It's all there. In the same shot, he looks back at his praetor who knows he must kill Maximus, and then Joaquin looks forward again, and We can see the satisfaction he feels at the thought of Maximus's impending execution. Joaquin is present in every moment and not at all self-conscious, whereas I find Eddie's performance incredibly self-conscious, with every detail feeling contrived and premeditated. He has these random outbursts that feel so jarring. And they kind of take you out of the movie and remind you, oh yeah, that's right, I'm just watching a bunch of actors pretending to be other people.
I create life! And I destroy it.
You can imagine Eddie sitting in his trailer before he shot the scene, thinking, oh yes, I'll shout the first line and then I'll whisper the next one. It'll be so effective.
Double our security deployment to destroy any ship that comes near the planet.
Whoa, was that really necessary? He seems cool, calm, and collected, and then this outburst comes out of nowhere. It's not that random outbursts never work, they definitely do.
She got a great ass!
But in this case, Eddie's shouting doesn't make me feel like, oh wow, that character's crazy. It makes me think, oh, that was really cringe, and this character is coming off as more of a clown than he is a menacing figure.
You begged me to do it!
He loves to yell liberally, but then in the moments that getting angry is actually warranted, he's subdued. It's as if Eddie's trying to surprise us, but for all the wrong reasons. Like when his refinery is being obliterated and he's losing a vast amount of his riches, he doesn't go berserk like the other times. I mean, he's definitely not happy about it, but he doesn't even raise his voice.
You've seen it now.
And what's with that breathy voice? The whole...
You've seen it now.
It makes him sound like an old man in his 80s or above, but he doesn't look that old. I know he's playing an alien who's thousands of years old, but if he sounds old, then he should also look it. Surely your skin degrades at the same pace as your vocal cords. It's important for actors to keep the technical side in mind so that they hit their mark and they don't turn their back to the camera. But the moment an actor starts to overanalyze it and plan every little detail down to the intonation and rhythm of their voice, they've spoiled the magic of their performance. See the way he delivers this line like he knows it's the last line of the scene and he needs to say it intensely?
Understand this, Mr. Knight. I will harvest that planet tomorrow before I let her take it from me.
Look at that pout, that steely stare. He's posing like he's doing a photo shoot for Balenciaga. Real human behavior is too nuanced to portray on purpose. A great performance is one where the actor has done the work beforehand and can then allow the complexities of the character to appear organically and without full conscious control. Everything Eddie does is so premeditated that even his blinking is slow and heavy. I swear I didn't slow that footage down. That's literally how long it takes for him to blink. It's like all Eddie did was decide on some surface level facts about his character. He's volatile, narcissistic, greedy, and violent, and he just stuck with those labels without looking any deeper. He feels one-dimensional, and he doesn't undergo any real change. His character remains the same the entire movie. Whereas in the Gladiator, we can clearly see Joaquin go through a complete character arc. But not really in the shape of an arc, more like a consistent downward trajectory. A character plummeting into further insanity and evil. And that's in part thanks to the incredible makeup team, who make him look progressively more sick and pale. But it's also a mark of his brilliant performance, as Joaquin is able to map out his character's spiral into insanity step by step. And keep in mind, they wouldn't have shot this chronologically. They would have shot scene 2 today and scene 10 tomorrow, which makes portraying a clear and consistent arc even more difficult. Commodus is at his most fresh-faced at the start of the movie, before he's committed too many horrible deeds. Look here at how he gleefully talks about his father's imminent death.
Do you think he's really dying? If he weren't really dying, he wouldn't have sent for us.
That one line was already more chilling than anything Eddie's character said or did.
He will name me. First thing I shall do when is honor him with games worthy of his majesty.
His desire to be the emperor has consumed him to the point that he feels no shame in wishing for his father's death. You can see in his eyes the petulant little boy who has had every one of his needs attended to from the moment he took his first breath. One of the greatest things that Joaquin does in his performance is portray Commodus's internal conflict. When Maximus disrespects him,
How dare you show your back to me? Slave!
and he's forced to reveal his identity,
Will you remove your helmet and tell me your name?
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
Commodus is shocked because he thought he'd killed Maximus, and he wishes he could strike him dead right there and then, but the crowd have other ideas. Look at how his facial expressions keep changing. His seething hatred for Maximus fights a battle with his desire to earn the love of the people. This inner push-pull conflict is communicated without a word. Throughout the movie, he continuously flips his emotions on a dime. One moment, he's furiously cutting up a statue of his father with a sword. He even considers punching it, surely breaking his own hand in the process. But instead, he embraces and caresses the statue as he cries moments later. Only one word is uttered in this scene. And yet so much is said about the tumultuous relationship he had with his father, his feelings of inadequacy, envy, and how killing his dad is tormenting him. Eddie also likes to get emotional in his performance, but it doesn't always feel like it fits the character or the story. His eyes will well up with tears, and I don't know if it's because his character is getting emotional or because he refuses to blink. Whatever it is he's trying to convey and what I'm receiving as an audience member feel at constant odds with one another. Like when he says this,
Well, I want Miss Dunleavy found, and I want her dead.
I think that line was intended to send a chill down my spine, but that wasn't chilling, it was more cringe than anything. He seems like he needs a massage or a vacation. The dude needs to loosen up. His performance is so rigid. He's not surprising himself in the way that Joaquin feels like it's not just us who don't know what will happen next, but he himself isn't 100% sure what he'll do next. He's allowing himself to be inspired second by second, open to whatever creative impulses are born out of the hard work he's done before the director yelled action.
Am I not merciful?
Well, if you got this far, that either means you're a masochist or you enjoyed the video. I hope it's the second one. I'm going to be releasing more videos like this regularly, so make sure to subscribe. And also, this is the second good vs. bad acting video. If you want to see the first one, click right here to check it out. Alright, I'll see you guys soon.